before. Know my friend Johnny, Johnny L.
Yep.
Right, Johnny L. He was 4 weeks old and he was in treatment when my son was also at day hospital, and we found this out 20 years later, or 15 years later or something, and it turns out Johnny's dad was also my optometrist, which I never knew.
I have that in here.
So I just wanted, Johnny has just been a true inspiration to me, and his entire family is just the most loving, kindest, wonderful group of people. I just love them to death. And here's our story from Johnny L.
Thank you. Okay. Great, Dr. Hughes. It's going to be hard to follow that, but if I get emotional, please just bear with me. I'll try my best. So, hello to those of you who don't know me, but after Pat's introduction, my name is John Lacerdo. You can call me Johnny, that works too. On September 22nd of 1995, that's when I was born. Being named after my grandpa on the same day as his birthday was a very joyous day for him and my family. But however, this joy did not last long, as shortly after my birth, my parents noticed that my stomach was distended, and I was constantly crying and agitated. My mother's intuition of something being wrong was shot down by many doctors who attributed it as bloating or gas. However, within 5 minutes of my pediatrician at the time, Dr. Peter Lieber, he examined me, and I was already being prepared to be sent to Children's Memorial Hospital. It was then that I was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma. At 4 weeks old, I was the youngest diagnosed with neuroblastoma at the time, and I was given a less than 2% chance of survival. My family was distraught, but they were determined to fight and give me every chance to survive. The primary tumor was located near my adrenal gland, and it was scheduled to be removed that week. The tumor was wrapped around the sympathetic nerve, and it was removed, which then resulted in giving me a Horner syndrome, a condition in which the pupil does not dilate as it should, results in the eyelid to droop slightly, and causes me to sweat on the only one side of my upper torso, so you could see like a line between me when I work out or something. After the removal of the primary tumor, further scans showed the tumor had metastasized to my liver and bones. My diagnosis was not worse. My hospitalization continued through my first Christmas and New Year's. The removal of the secondary tumor, which involved taking half of my liver out, and alongside the chemotherapy, seemed to be working. At around age 5 or 6, I was said to be in remission. As a child, this meant I had to grow up fast. Every week was filled with constant medical scans, blood draws, and more. It was because of this that I developed an extreme phobia of needles, to the point where it took 4 nurses to hold me down. As I got older, I noticed that I had these big lines that wrapped around my body, which I learned were scars from where surgeries had been and where the drainage tubes were put in. These grew with me and often caused people to ask what happened to me. Being so young, I didn't know, so I asked my parents what was wrong with me. They explained as well as they could what happened and why I had to go to these doctors and let them poke needles in me. Around age 8, I had my first hernia removal surgery due to overexerting my limits, trying to fit in with kids at gym. A couple years later, at age 10, I had a moment of true clarity. As usual, I was waiting to go see my oncologist and was complaining, saying I wanted to go home. And a young boy, probably near my age or younger, he was hooked up to an IV bag, looked at me with a sickly look of exhaustion on his face and said, "I just want to get better." So, at age 10, I grew up real fast, realizing I was blessed to be here and I could have it worse. School continued to present more challenges for me than I could have expected. Having constant chest pains, overheating, and cramps from my scar tissue sidelined me from any gym activities which all the kids loved to do. Also, whether it was genetics or the chemo, my growth was also very little. As you can see, I'm 5'2". I was always the short kid, so of course, I was picked on by a lot of kids taller than me. In high school, my freshman year, I had abdominal pains for 13 weeks until I went in and needed to have my gallbladder removed. It was wrapped like a cocoon from all my scar tissue. It was always something. Then at 16, after getting my license, I was told that I would need to start prepping for my implants in my mouth. 13 adult teeth were killed off during my young development. The total surgery involved removing my baby teeth, maxilla and mandible reconstruction with bone grafts, as well as implants. However, medical problems were not all I faced. I made music to tell my story and raise money and awareness. This attracted both positive and negative attention. People called me Cancer Boy and also told me the only thing I was good at was catching cancer. Fate would have it, though, at the time, that my dad, who was listening to sports radio, which he never did, heard of an organization called Children's Neuroblastoma Cancer Foundation. We called Pat Tallingun, and she invited me to come to the events and speak/perform. The world's a small place, as you heard. It turned out Pat's son and I were room neighbors all those years ago in Children's Memorial, and we lived about 5 miles away from each other at the time, and that my dad was her optometrist, but I can't think right now. We finally realized after we started talking in person, but CNCF became somewhere that understood my hardships and offered support. A couple of years later, I went off to college. My first year was going relatively well until I was hospitalized the second semester for unusual nausea and vomiting, which still hasn't been solved, but it's being managed. As expected, I've added new doctors to my long list, which includes a cardiologist who has me taking blood pressure medicine to prevent any further weakening of my heart from the long-term side effects of chemo. Each year seems to present new additional challenges for me, but I'm determined to persevere and live my life to the fullest. So after all this, you may ask what the point of me sharing this is. Most people would say it's probably to express myself, but while that may be part of it, it isn't the main point. It's to show that cancer doesn't care what age you are, what kind of person you are, race, ethnicity, occupation, sex, etc., as you all know. It can happen to anyone at any time. In this moment of grief, anger, anxiety, and more, it's common to ask the question of why me or why him or her. What I'm about to say is hard to accept, and it's a truth that I've come to understand, that it shouldn't be anyone else, because I would never wish this upon anyone. Life is a precious gift, and we need to cherish it. This may be cliche, but because it's said constantly, but it is the truth. Nowhere have I seen this level of consideration and love towards the lives of children than CNCF. I've never felt such pride in being in a group like I feel every time I come to an event for CNCF, because it's like another family to me, a place that understands the true hardships we all face day to day. Every doctor's visit carries a level of anxiety in the results, a place that cares about everyone from the child to the parents and siblings, a place that knows cancer is a lifelong battle that is never over. So I ask any of you who are new to CNCF to give more of your time and effort towards it, whether it's as a volunteer, making a donation, bringing others around to join in our cause. Every little bit truly helps. To the doctors who are here today and across the world, I'm thankful and hopeful of your efforts to continue the fight against neuroblastoma. Hopeful that one day there may be a cure that doesn't involve chemo or radiation. Pat, I want to thank you for everything you've done to help every child you can. You have truly given your life to the cause of curing neuroblastoma, and for that words cannot express my personal gratitude. I'm sorry. Family and friends have sometimes called me a hero, and I guess in some ways I am, just like every child here who's battling or has battled cancer. We're all superheroes. My name is John Lacerdo. I'm an upcoming 1L at DePaul's College of Law. I will turn 24 this year. I'm honored to be here with you all today. I'm a cancer survivor, and my final words for you all are to remember there is hope, to love and cherish your family and friends as well as the time with them, and that we stand together. We are bigger than cancer. Thank you.
Let me go this way. That concludes the CNCF conference. I love Johnny. I love his entire family. They're just very, very precious to me and mean a whole lot to me. And like I said, we were in treatment and we never knew it for years afterwards. And again, he is a true inspiration. Should we check the web for Johnny L. dancing? Sure. Johnny does some, he's a pretty darn good dancer, so I would check Johnny L. Look, what is it, Fearless?
Yeah, that's the
Okay, all right. He does some great work. Again, I just wanted to thank all of our sponsors for being here and supporting this particular conference. Again, we never know if we're ever going to have it because of funding. You know, it's always been a challenge, and that's why we're late this year and holding it in August. Normally we try to do June or July. But because of the fact we didn't know if we were going to have the funding for this, we kind of had to wait a little bit. So if there's anything you can do to help us, do a fundraiser, do, you know, a birthday fundraiser on Facebook, you know, try to raise $100 or something like that. It goes such a long way. And I just wanted to let you know too, we've gotten a donor challenge. One of our donors is going to match dollar for dollar up to $50,000 for any donation that we receive or a company provides a sponsorship for us. They're going to donate dollar for dollar up to $50,000 just for the conference. So anything you can do to help us raise money, we'll be able to carry on this conference probably for the next couple of years. So anything you can do, again, Facebook fundraiser, it's real simple. You don't have to do anything. Click a button and say, hey, I want to raise $100 for my birthday. That would be extremely helpful. And then note that it's for the conference so that we can utilize that to go towards you know, paying for all of this for next year and the year after. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors. I know I'm going to miss somebody. United Therapeutics, Fennec Pharma, Nick Foundation, Friends of Catherine, Arms Open Wide Foundation, and I think there was one other and I can't think. But thank you again. This is just incredible. You did this, and we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I want everyone to please come back again next year. Now that we have seed money, we have some things going on. Please do come back, because this is most important part of it, is to continuously learn, you know, because you're going to hear something this year and you're going to say, oh, I know that, and then next year it's going to mean something totally different, or you're going to have the full meaning of it. So I really encourage you to come back. Please bring your children. If we have funding for travel, we'll be able to help, you know, as many families as we can, but please bring your children. I don't know if all of you were at the reptile show, but the kids were going absolutely wild with all the lizards and the tarantulas and the snakes, and it was crazy. But anyway, it was kind of gross. I'll kill other stuff. I don't like it. Anyway, just again, thank you so much. Thank you to the doctors, the nurses, the researchers, the technicians. You know, as they pointed out in these slides and everything, there's a whole lot of research going on. There's a whole lot of trials and studies and stuff like that. These doctors are working extremely hard to try to find a cure for these kids. And I can't thank them enough, and you know, everybody should thank them, and thank you for being there and being a part of it. And I just wanted to say thank you all for coming. Please share this with others. You know, have people, families at your hospitals, let them know about it so that we can, I mean, we had 200 people one year, and I want to make sure we can get that many people again. So thank you all for coming, and have safe travels back home. Thank you.